So
It's his music is it's amazing, and it never fails to sort of shock me and kind of kill me inside a little bit when I hear it. But it's quite beautiful, yeah.
oh yeah, it's so sweet and tender and fun, and it's all the things that you need in a perfect little emotional song. So I agree.
And I guess that in a way is also common with your music that I was just gonna ask about. There seem to be so many influences, but at the same time, there's something very sort of fragile and brittle about the music and the songwriting. Do I have
Uh,
that right?
Heaven is a hole and it always asks for more. And as much as it was expected, you ain't got.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I feel like I definitely put. I don't write in a diary or anything, or you know, go see a psychiatrist. I mean, I have before, but I don't do it anymore. And so making music is very kind of like writing in a diary for me. So I guess I tend to try to feel all of the emotions, whether it's good, bad, sad, happy, funny, all of it, just like life in general. That's kind of what Gloom Balloon started as, like uh, I always picture like a balloon as kind of like life. Like once you blow it up, it's like destined to die, but it's very fragile, and like it can make a kid so happy to have a balloon, but then it can make a kid like so sad if it blows away or it pops or something. So that's kind of what I felt like Gloom Balloon was about from the beginning.
It's very interesting because I was actually gonna ask you about the name, but also about the songs. I mean, if there's one thing that seems to be a common thread, obviously there's a lot of material, but maybe the one thing that ties a lot of it together is this feeling of maybe melancholy, sometimes heartbreak to the songs. Is it difficult to go back to some of the material you've written and maybe play it live or just listening to it again and everything you need to do?
Sure. Like, yeah, tomorrow is our 7-year anniversary of our first album coming out.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
so, thank you. When I wrote that record, I was very kind of down and out. My other band, the Poison Control Center, had just come off of a 13-month tour,
Wow.
and we put out 2 albums in a year in those 13 months. And so I'd come off the high of playing live music every day, to like kind of being back to just the working man. And so I was pretty bummed out. And then also my favorite, one of the singers from my favorite band died, Bill Doss of the Olivia Tremor Control. So all the songs on that first record are about the world losing my songwriting hero, who I knew personally, and kind of being the dream of being in a rock and roll band that tours and survives on the road for a year or something. That was kind of came to an end too. So I was dealing with quite a bit of loss. But I was thinking about getting on Instagram Live or something tomorrow and playing some of the songs off that first record. So I played a few this morning just on acoustic guitar, and it does feel strange going back to those type of things, because a lot has happened in my world and the world in general in the past 7 years. So, but it also feels good. It feels like, like I think if you like love something, or, like you're a songwriter, you always kind of have that, like you never lose that love, or you never lose that connection to those songs. That's why I always love bands who, have put out a ton of material, who try to play stuff off of every era, like live. If you go see like somebody like Yola Tango or something, you're bound to see songs that they had written 25 years ago, which to me is like really special, that those songs can still excite them and they can still like pull them off live, type of thing.
That's brilliant. And how is, or let me put it this way, how are you coping without being able to play live? And in a way, how has it changed from your earlier days? Because I guess it was such a, from what you're telling me, such a sort of intense ride each time.
Yeah, I mean, like I have kind of an out of body experience when I play live music, and it's like I really, it's a way to connect with people, and I have missed that a lot this year, and I know that other people have too, and I get that connection when I'm a spectator, like a fan at a concert too. I just like love going to see live music and being a part of it as a fan and or performing it. I miss the stress about putting on a good performance. Like with Gloom Balloon, there's a lot of like video. We make a movie to go along with what we're playing, and like every single show is different, so every movie is different. So I put a lot of like time and energy into the show, into the production of the show, and not having that like stress and then the release of actually like doing the show has been kind of like a bummer this year. So that we put out a record and couldn't tour and or even play a release show is kind of sad. But we tried to do, me and my friend Christopher of Christopher the Conquered, who plays in Gloom Balloon, and I produced his record that came out on the same day. We made a little film at the studio that we made the records just to like put out so people who pre-ordered the record could see us playing, live or whatever. In a sense. So that was fun to have something to do, but yeah, I'm missing it.
And you actually mentioned, and I heard about that, about the live experience, but you actually mentioned the movies and directors. So I was going to ask you, because the name of, I guess, the last full length is called, mentions, so Bergman uses Bach to get his point across, but I feel like I've chosen rock, but at what cost? Is that Ingmar Bergman, the movie director, or is it
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe it was a Silver Jews reference, so just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love Silver Jews too, but no, yeah, it's a reference to him, the director, because I think like in a lot of his films, he's using Bach, the composer, to kind of like, move the flow of the film along. And music is such an important part of film, and film is such an important part to the Gloom Balloon experience if you ever see us live. So I like Bergman use rock and roll music to kind of get my point across a lot. Like every conversation I seem like I have, I'm like referencing a song or something in the history of rock and roll or something, or I can always think of a song that goes along with a situation just because I've ate and drank and lived so much music and listened to so much music. So I wanted to make a record that referenced lots of different rock and roll references, and most people won't get most of them, and hopefully they can just listen to the record as like a record of like songs and stuff. But if you start to dig in deep, you can see that every song on the record has some sort of reference to either rock and roll history or a lyric or something. And like I think that putting so much of my time and energy in my life into music, that can be detrimental to relationships. It can be detrimental to keeping jobs. But you can speak through rock and roll, which I guess I tried to do on this record more than ever before. So
it's brilliant. And in a way, the visual side of it, so the artwork, which is so noticeable and so good, definitely contributes to getting that point across. I was just wondering, well, A, who made that, and B, how do you communicate who you actually want on that sleeve that obviously references Sgt. Pepper's?
Yeah, well, that's my friend Allie Arnold. She's an illustrator who was born in Hell's Kitchen, New York, and now lives in St. Petersburg, Florida. She has done all the Gloom Balloon full-length album covers, and she's just been a friend of mine for years, who I love dearly. She's one of my best friends in the world, and she's a super talented artist. And the last Gloom Balloon record was released like 9 months after my son was born, and I didn't think I was really going to make another record ever. And then all of a sudden, life happens, and all of a sudden you got 10 songs in your hand or something, and you're like, oh, I guess I need to make another record. And I want to show my son like what I'm really into now that he's old enough to kind of experience the process, I guess. So I told Allie that I was going to make another record, and I said, like, for this album cover, we better go big or go home. And so I told her the concept of the record, and I said, what do you think about, and each Gloom Balloon record has referenced a different record in the history of rock and roll. Our first record referenced Moody Blues, The Days of Future Past. Our second record, if you kind of have to look deeply, but it kind of mimics Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love, and the German pressing of Magical Mystery Tour. You do have to look deep to see it. But, and then, so the most recent record, we were like, well, how do you go big or go home? What's the biggest, the most iconic album cover ever, right? And so we decided on Sgt. Pepper. And then I gave her a list of 75 people that I wanted on the album cover, many who did not make it, some who are way more important than others that did make it to me, whether it's like Leonard Cohen or, modern like Yola Tango or Bell and Sebastian, bands I really love that didn't make it. So I said, I gave her a list of 75 people, including some people who are like local musicians that I just love. And she pretty much told me to fuck off because she's like, there's no way I'm getting 75, no way I'm going to illustrate 75 people for you.
Right.
And, for the amount of money I was giving her. And so she whittled it down. And of course, there were some people that I had to have on there. I had to have like Bill Doss of the Olivia Tremor Control, who I mentioned earlier, who'd passed away. Or like, I got to have the Beatles, Fiona Apple, Bob Dylan, Stephen Malkmus of Pavement, Jeff Lynne of the Electric Light Orchestra, Stevie Wonder, people who are like so influential to me that I could not make music without. So she willed it down and just started drawing and drew. And it actually, the album, I think, took less time than the album artwork did. So, but she would draw like five figures one day and then not draw again for 2 months kind of thing. So, but I was always kind of pushing her and keeping her at it. And she came through. So.
But it is quite intricate, I guess. And even the fact that maybe not everyone will notice every single character, that's kind of cool as well, because I guess on Sgt. Pepper's you'd have to have a lot of knowledge of the Beatles to know who, for example, like the Indian figures are there, or get Aleister Crowley, who's on the left side, and all of that. But actually, since you mentioned the songwriting, how and sorry about that, I'm kind of new to your music, so sorry if this sounds like a daft question. But how does that work? Where does it begin, and how do you manage to sort of put it all together?
There's a song on the most recent record called "Advice on How to Write a Song," and because people have asked me, like, how do you write songs, or like, what's your process, or and that is my best way of explaining it. Like, I literally, I think it's a good advice to there's only 12 notes, so explore them all. Try to write a song in G or C or D or E or F, so make sure that you can explore all the notes. And then and if that doesn't work, you wait for it to fall out of the sky, right? Or I feel like songs are magic and they're all just in the stratosphere, and you just have to go like teleport to get it, or like like it's like you're almost interpreting it, just from something else, like an idea or something. Or you can just bluntly think about, something that inspires you, that you love. Like, so in that song, I say, like, if it doesn't just come to you and you've explored the 12 notes, just think about her beautiful eyes. And then, like, right after I say that, then I start in the song describing this person, or how that person makes you feel or something. And then that all of a sudden the song falls out, right? But then I also talk about it in that song, how it's like, it's so hard to write a hit, like a hit song, right? But I also say, like, even when the music's flowing, maybe it really is a hit. It's just, it's up to the music business to really decide what a hit is. So just keep doing what you're doing. wait for them to fall out of the sky, or just think about her beautiful eyes and explore the 12 notes, and it'll come to you. You know, just be willing to be able to open the portal of your mind and let something fall through, you know?
That is brilliant. Yeah.
But I usually, you know, like for me, they usually come in spurts. I'll like not write a song for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden I'll sit down, and like all of a sudden a weekend will come and I'll be like, boom, I just wrote 7 songs this weekend, kind of thing. So I truly really need to be inspired by something. Also, having a child makes it very difficult to focus on sitting down with a guitar or piano and not giving attention to something else, which is good too. Which it just makes you appreciate the times you do get to work on art even more.
Sure thing. And right now, how do you, or recently, how do you track songs? So I guess from the demo stage where you have the idea, maybe you get it down, but how is it all recorded?
Lately, I've just been trying to make the most minimal demos ever. You know, I think I love home recording. So I used to, in my old band, Poise Control Center, we used to make these, like, all 4 of us in the band wrote songs, and we all lived in different towns. So to like really present our demos to each other, we would flesh them out, you know, put drums, put bass, guitar, piano, like really try to like present it to our other bandmates and be like, because you had to kind of fight for your songs to be on records, right? Because if you got four songwriters and you're going to put 12 songs on them, you may get 3 songs, you may get 4, you know, like that type of thing. So it's very kind of competitive. Now, since I don't really have anybody to be competitive with, I just usually grab my phone and make once I have the idea, I grab the guitar or sit at the piano and get my phone out and just record it. Just record whatever my idea is. And, you know, a couple of those songs have actually got on the most recent record just in that kind of form, just on like the iPhone, you know, whatever, recording thing. But once I have the demo made, you know, I usually share it with a couple pals who I know that maybe would play on the record, and then just go in and start recording. I do a lot of recording at home. I try to go to like a studio to maybe do like the drums and the piano or the basic stuff. But then I usually take that and bring it home and put a bunch of stuff on it where I can just kind of tinker away at it for months, and then bring it back in, and then also have other people come and play on it. You know, like Patrick Riley is this amazing composer, string player, plays viola, violin, cello on the records. So I love strings, so I'll have him put strings on it, and he'll do that at home. And then, you know, I would send tracks to friends all across the country, and even a track on this record was recorded in Africa, just to like, so I can have different people on it, you know, different ideas, and play with my friends, because it's, you know, when you're not performing it as like a band, it's kind of like putting a big puzzle together. So you keep adding pieces as you go. It's the never-ending puzzle, and you get to throw away pieces and keep adding them, and then hopefully there's a picture at the end.
Right. So I had, just because you mentioned there are so many ways of writing a song, we actually got to do an interview with Bob Forrest of Thelonious Monk, which was great, of Thelonious Monster, sorry. And he actually mentions that we're big Replacements fans, so it was a great story to hear. He actually says that one time he felt really bad about ripping off a Replacements song. So he told that to Paul Westerberg, and Westerberg said, you know, you shouldn't worry about that. We actually ripped it off from a Kiss song. So I think it was Hard Luck Woman, and they'd written Can't Hardly Wait or something like that. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
It's so incredible. Like, you know, like you can tell the people who like have their heroes looking over their shoulders, right? You know, like I listen to so much music that I know it's I know it's influenced by so much stuff that so I even like want to reference it. You know, like I want to make sure that people know that, like, hey, like this is this line I'm kind of like using is from a Labi Sifri record, you know, like, you know, I'm referencing him in the music. And, you know, if you look at like his first record, he says the record label let me write some of my influences in here. So even he was doing it back in the 60s, you know, he's like writing like of Otis Redding and Marvin Gaye and Harry Nilsson and Randy Newman, like these were all people, you know, the Beatles or whatever. So even not, you know, like it's just like it's the evolution of people of loving what came before and hopefully trying to maybe be inspired by it, but also maybe add something to it. You know what I mean? So
we actually got
to for me.
Sorry, we got to cover all my feelings for you on the website, which was really great. And not sure exactly if I compared it to anything, but I guess it sounds to me, it sort of reminded me of half Japanese a little bit, but it also has this soulful background. And obviously there are so many influences. We already talked about the album artwork and everything else. I guess it's fashionable, and not just fashionable, but useful for artists to do covers albums, considering that you have so many wide-ranging influences. What would that look like? What would be the sort of theme to hold it together?
Oh wow! If I did a covers record,
like yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great question. It's so interesting because like I think you hit the nail right on the head, like saying like half Japanese with like soul. You know, it's like I from a very early age, like in high school, I was very into like lo-fi indie rock music, you know, like Pavement and Guided by Voices. I feel like those type of bands, Sebado, you know, that type of thing, those type of bands made me believe that I could be in a band, you know, and like, so to me, like they are like what people say about like the Velvet Underground in the 60s. Like people looked at the Velvet Underground and were like, I can start a band because these guys are like, you know, like they're only playing like 4 chords and it's really noisy and but it's also very brilliant, you know, like the songs are good and it makes you feel something and they're performed well. And like the production, even though it's maybe not like technically proper, it sounds like really cool, you know? And to me, like bands like, you know, like Pavement, Slants and Enchanted, or, you know, Guided by Voices, Alien Lanes, those were records to me that was like, wow, these sound like they were made in somebody's basement. Right. And they sound like they left the mistakes in. Right. And so for like a 16, 17-year-old kid who didn't know how to play guitar and was trying to record songs on a karaoke machine he got for Christmas or something, wow. that was really inspiring to me, you know, like that just because it's not technically recorded correctly or recorded in a big studio or sounds shiny like ELO or the Beatles or something, or Pink Floyd, it can still be good. And still make somebody feel something. So I think that you saying like half Japanese mixed with soul is like a perfect example of like what I would try to do on a covers record, because I do love lo-fi music. I love that feeling it gives me. And I love of how somebody just uses what they have to make art. You know, it's like if you're a painter and all you have is a big piece of wood and the colors brown, black, and purple, you're not gonna let that like detour you from making a painting, right? You're just gonna do it, right? And so like lo-fi music is like, that's like, okay, all we have is this 4-track and these songs with these out-of-tune guitars, but it's not gonna stop you from doing it, which I think is really inspiring. But then you get on the other side of it, which I love too, with like, you know, Motown or like Stax soul music, or like, again, I reference Electric Light Orchestra because I just think their recordings sound perfect or something, or Stevie Wonder or something. It's like you have this like fantastic songs, fantastic voice, played fantastically, recorded so precisely and so beautifully that it like is just timeless. Like I listened to like a Stevie Wonder record and it's like, what year did this come out? You know, it's like, this came out in 1972. It sounds like it's still from the future. You know, same thing with like ELO or something. So I love the, you know, all of it. I love all, you know, like there's only like one style of music. I've talked to so many people about this, friends or whatever, maybe never on a podcast, but there's only one style of music that I've never really had a connection to. And it's like steel drum music for some reason. I mean, I think if you know, like on a Beatles song or something, they use steel drum, I'd probably be into it. But like, I've just never like and I love like reggae music. I love like island kind of music, but I've never had like a connection to it. So, but I've had connections to like every other style of music I've ever heard, whether it's like Russian folk dance music or Indian music, or like European music or South American music or anything. Like I have like I can feel something from it, but if I did a covers record, and I had the ability to do whatever I wanted, I would my covers record would be everything from singer-songwriters to soul music to big band to jazz to, like it would have elements of all of it, I think. So
that sounds brilliant. That sounds brilliant, actually. I guess is that talking about the eclecticism of your work and the energy of your live performances, is that difficult somehow when playing live? Because I guess so many times there are, let's say, package tours or package nights. Does that land you on some rather strange bills, or is that not a concern really?
Yeah, definitely. But I always feel like I could perform with anybody, like any kind of band. Like my old band, Poise Control Center, at times we were kind of a very twee pop band. I mean, we always kind of had, loud electric guitars or something, or distortion pedals or whatever. But like since we would like jump around and be kind of wild, they would put us like with heavy metal bands or something, on the same bill, or like we would grow up like we would be the one kind of goofy indie pop band on a bill of like 5 hardcore bands or something like that, just because maybe we played with a little like punk energy or something. So I always liked that. I always liked being on bills. But yeah, Gloom Balloon is like, there's elements of like hip hop and there's elements of like classical music. So sometimes people, if it's maybe the first time they've ever seen us, are just kind of like, what the heck is this? But hopefully they still like get something out of it, whether whether they like it or not. I hope that they feel something, whether it be from the film that's playing or the lyrics or the sounds or something. I just want to tell a story and have the audience feel something or feel connected to something.
Right. I guess there's always that fight of getting the audience on your side. That remains like a perpetual fight.
Yeah, definitely. But when it happens, it's magical. It's like nothing else. Like when somebody can come up to you after a show and say like, "Oh, that's the best show I ever saw in my life." It's like I was having the worst day and it just made me feel so great. Like that like breaks my heart. It's just like first I think like, well, you didn't see Radiohead in 1997, and like like that was a better show, or like like you didn't see the Flaming Lips in '99. Like just things in my past or whatever. But no, it means a lot to me when somebody says that they were like they were just having a bad day and they came out to the show and all of a sudden like their mood switched instantly just by seeing somebody trying to connect with somebody, and then they had that connection. That's really special to me that happens.
Yeah, beautiful. And sorry if this is a mistake, but from what I understand, the last album chronologically, or the last release, would be the Christmas EP, the one burnt out light on the Christmas tree. And I was wondering what the thinking was behind this, and maybe your expectations, given that sort of Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah. Well, again, like, we're in a year of a pandemic, and I'm just trying to do as much as I can to stay busy, and so when I finished Bergman Uses Bach record around February, like right when kind of the pandemic kind of shut everything down here in the United States. And so I've just been really focused on like trying to make music videos for that and promote it. But then I've had this one Christmas song, the one burn out light on the Christmas tree, for a few years. And I was like, I should, like actually record that and put it out. And then I just decided to write a handful more, just because I was feeling in the mood to write or do something. So I just recorded that in like a 3 or 4 day little span. So I did most of it at home, but then I went to a studio and kind of finished up, and I had a couple friends play on it. And it was just nice to do. It's just like, they're not the most cheery Christmas songs ever, but like, I hopefully feel like they have a message of like, one of them's called like All I Want for Christmas is Racism to End, like, and that type of thing. and I feel like, the reason I wrote the song, The One Burnout Light on the Christmas Tree, is like, a few years ago, I was like thinking about it. Christmas was coming up, and it was like, now that I have a son, I get to be Santa Claus, right? It's like you turn into Santa Claus. Like, how much magic is that? Like, you hold the power of like this, Father Christmas in your hand. Like, you are that. And so was his mom, and so is like your parents or whatever it could have been or whatever if you celebrated Christmas. But so you have like this strange power to you. And to me, that was like a very a thing that had like a lot of magic to it, but also anxiety. I started to feel like, man, why am I so bummed out around holidays? Because I get to be Santa. So I started to think like, well, what does Santa feel like? And so then it just kind of like escalates of like my thought, my brain process as Santa, and also just being like, you know what, holidays make me drink too much. And so that was kind of the whole concept of the song, but it was all about like being Santa Claus or whatever. So
and these sort of songs, although they're very rare, they seem to age the best, I guess. Fairy Tale of New York for a lot of people is the greatest song, and it's also very realistic to how most people feel around the holidays.
Oh, I love that song so much. I love that song, and it's just like it's just like not everybody is full of Christmas cheer, and even the people that are maybe are hiding something underneath. I feel like my mom like loves Christmas so much, like it's her thing. She like loves to decorate, loves to make Christmas cookies. She puts up like Christmas trees. She has Christmas trees up in her house all year long, but like, as like I still have so many memories of her just being like upset, because something wasn't perfect, or it's just like all these things. Like holidays can really tangle people's minds and energy, and it's strange how that. So I just kind of wanted to delve into that topic without having to like be like, oh, here's like 3 Christmas songs on a regular album. So
right.
So yeah, I just wanted to do it. And of course it was very cool that Grand Phony, our record label, was like, yeah, we can do that, even though we just put out another record. So
great. And my last question, I guess, is if hopefully things do pick up and return to some form of normality within the next year, I guess, do you have plans to go out touring again, or the recent spell of recording has made you want to do that more?
I definitely want to go on the road. I definitely want to like, in my mind, I still have a concept for presenting this album live that I would like to share with people. And, I've done so much touring in the past. Like I have so many friends around the country of the United States, at least that like touring is just a great excuse to go see your friends, right? And sleep on their hardwood floor and meet their kid you haven't met that they had 3 years ago, that type of thing. So I'm very excited that hopefully, the great scientists of the world can get the pandemic under control, and I would love to go out and try to promote this record in the way that I would normally do it, instead of just like making music videos. But like I really felt in the groove of making records again. So I kind of am itching already to continue to do that as well. So, but I do want to get out and play some shows and promote the record like I would have normally.
Well, this was brilliant, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, and for being so kind, regardless of the fact that I was a little bit late. And
oh no,
that again.
I so appreciate you wanting to chat, and thank you so much for the article. And the website's great, and yeah, I think that you can tell the love of music that you have, and that just brings joy to my heart. So. And I hope the Tiny Tim thing works out, because I think it would just be
God, I'm really sort of itching for that, and kind of fishing towards that. That's why I keep mentioning it on the interviews. Hopefully somebody will hear and go, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if there's anything I can do from the US to help with the Tiny Tim thing, I would be happy to do it. So
Your vote of confidence alone is quite brilliant. Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, so nice meeting you on here, and thank you again for the wonderful write-up, and I'll keep watching the podcast and everything. So
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
you too. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.